Alright. Alright, so we have SK versus Anexis on Dust 2. A pretty strong map for SK. We've seen them beat Navi, we've seen them beat Mouse Sports, we've seen them beat they've crushed Fnatic on this map. I don't believe they've lost on Dust 2 with their current team. Am I wrong, Tommy?
I can't think of a loss they would have had.
Yeah.
Did they? Oh, eStar's final. Dust 2 was one of the maps.
Yeah. Okay. Versus again.
So yeah.
All right. So they've lost to again.
Anexis I haven't seen play that much on Dust 2. We scrimmed against them like last week. That was with Nagi though, obviously. Not with Trace. And then at least their CT side was better than their T side. I mean, they got way more rounds as T's and CTs, but I mean it's Dust 2, so I guess that's not really that consistent either. It could really go either way.
Yeah, I was thinking that this map might help a Nexus a bit. I mean, a strat map like Nuke isn't going to suit a Nexus because of, I mean, as good as Trace is and as good of a ringer and, knowing how they play, doing advanced, like, executes and stuff on a map like that with, like, not enough time to go over it is really annoying. Dust 2's simple. Pretty much all teams run a similar T side, so I think that helps the addition.
Yeah.
This is also a good round. This is also a really good map for if you just need rounds. If that's all you're looking for is rounds to because they only need what 11, 12 rounds to advance.
12 rounds will get him a second place guaranteed. I think 11 rounds will as well. But I'm waiting for a confirmation.
I mean, if they start T-side Dust 2, they can get 10 rounds easily versus SK. I mean, obviously not easily, but it's possible. And then on CT, just getting like 1 or 2 CT rounds and still losing would give them second in the group. And I think out of all maps, there's a good chance if they played on Inferno, they could just get smashed. Like they could just get demolished. Like 16-5 or something, and it really wouldn't give them any room to work. Dust 2, you can force buy, you can get that string of rounds together. So I think if they're going for that route, they did the smart choice. But I guess we will see. I mean, I think Danish teams in general have been pretty, like, the ones that have practiced CT side, Dust 2, MTW in 08, and Nexus. I mean, MTW with Trace and Minute weren't so good on Dust 2, but they didn't really play it that much. CT sides have been pretty good with the
Zigo's change map.
Oh.
Ooh. That's actually a really
I was right.
I actually thought Mirage would be a really interesting map for them because
I called that, by the way. It wasn't
Oh, you did?
We're just clarifying. You can ask Jacobson. I was like, I'm guessing Mirage. And he's like, you joined 2 minutes ago or something. And then he's like, nope, Dust 2. I was like, damn.
Huh. That's funny because who did Anexis play on Mirage at? Oh, they beat
Navi.
They beat Moscow 5 on Mirage last week. Last weekend, and they at MSI beat it Russia, and they beat Navi on Mirage at ESWC. They seem to have a pretty good idea of how to play that map. Now, obviously, I don't know about Trace's experience, and that's a map where I'm guessing he's just gonna almost full time up because Nagi ops all the time on that. But
yeah. He'll be filming the exact same role he did on MTW.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
I mean,
so
they play.
The transition should be pretty easy.
If they've gone over their like semi-quick A hit, I think rest of it is pretty simple with how Anexis plays. I think rest of it, it'll be easier to replicate even with Trey standing in for Nuggy.
Yeah, for sure.
So who do you think is the favorite coming in? SK obviously, I guess, but by a lot.
I don't really know if by a lot. I mean, I would say that they're definitely the favorite, maybe like 65-35. Just because of how Anexis have played on it in the past. I think they're one of the stronger Mirage teams that we've seen. I mean, Navi aren't pushovers on Mirage, like they have a lot of setups, a lot of strats, and they crushed them like 16-4. So
I don't think that was necessarily a great match for Navi though, because I was watching it standing behind Navi, and they messed up the pistol round somehow. I think like Zeus and Starix got into a kind of an argument during the pistol, and he went on for like 5 rounds or something. And then later on, Zero Gravity said that usually not the players have a bad tendency of getting into arguments when he's not there to boss them around, and he wasn't around for that match.
Yeah, but that should be something that you just drop after the round. Like, it sucks when someone fucks up, like, you know, whether Zeus thinks that Stark screwed up or if Starks blames Zeus for a bad call or, you know, it doesn't really matter after the round's over because you can't rewind time. You can't go back and change it. So, you know, if it was a scrim, it would be different because, you know, it's a scrim. You talk about mistakes, but...
I mean, I have a time machine, so I can go back, but
yeah.
most people can't.
Well, my cat can, and it's wanting me to let him back inside, so I'll be right back. That didn't actually make sense, but whatever. I'll be right back.
So I guess, I'm guessing since the map still hasn't changed, that probably means they do not have Mirage on the server. That seems to be the only possible conclusion, seeing as they've been very quick with all the admin work until now, so I'm guessing they're probably just getting that installed over there. So I guess we're just stuck here waiting for a little bit longer. We don't really know how long this is going to be. Both teams are, or at least we're ready to start. And the match was supposed to start a little while ago, so all that's left is getting Mirage on the server and just getting started. Earlier today, the Group C was played. That was the stack group, or the group of death, as people called it, with Navi, Moscow 5, Fnatic, and Teg. Teg had a close game against Fnatic in the first round. They lost the first half 4-11, but they brought it back all the way to 14-16, scared Fnatic a little bit, while Navi also went down early against Moscow 5, or actually they went down, unlike Fnatic. They went down 1-8 as CTs on Inferno after winning Pistol, but ended up recovering, getting 5 rounds of CTs, and then won 11-2 STs. I believe they went up 10-0 before losing their first round. So still not a comfortable win, but they definitely had the game as soon as they switched sides and won Pistol. Second round of matches, Navi played Fnatic on Tuscan. They started as CTs. Navi lost Pistol. They lost the next couple rounds, and Exist won a couple big rounds. Won a big one on 2, at least in A, and a couple rounds where he got multi-kills. Then in the second half, Navi lost the Pistol once again. They had a good chance of winning the second eco, but Zeus pushed Karn a little too much, and that ended up costing them the round, as he won a easy 1-on-2 after that by getting the bomb down, as Navi players didn't have defuse kits. They traded a couple more rounds later on in the half. Markelov was pretty invisible that half. I believe he ended at 1-9 or 1-10 as CTs, as Navi ended up losing 11-16. Meanwhile, Moscow 5 beat Teg. I'm not sure of the score, but it wasn't close. Last round of matches...
It was 16-8, I think.
Oh yeah, last
on
round. Yeah,
four.
it was 16-8 on Forge, and then last round of matches was Moscow 5 against Fnatic, and that's where Moscow 5's tournament life was on the line. And even though they lost a pistol, they had a close third round. I think they had a 2 versus 1. And that was again against Exist, who won a 1v2. And after that, it was just downhill for Moscow 5. They had a couple more rounds where it looked like they coulda, woulda, shoulda won, but they only ended up getting 2 rounds as terrorists on Tuscan, and they were put out quickly, 3-0 as CTs. And in the other match, Navi beat Teg 16-3. So Fnatic actually ended up advancing as the first seed, which means they will be playing either, well, most likely, I haven't done the math on round difference and everything, but they will most likely be playing either Isahara or Anexis in the quarterfinals, while SK is likely to meet Navi. If SK wins this match, they're guaranteed to meet Navi in the quarterfinals. And we're finally
really
on Mirage now.
SK seems to have Navi's number these days. I mean, they did lose that one BO3, but they said themselves that they were playing bad in SEC. And I mean, I know people say that when they lose, but if you watch the games, they did look like they were playing bad. Like Delpen, I'm pretty sure, had the worst tournament of his life. He had like 6 FPR, and like, I mean, Oppers aren't supposed to be top fraggers, but that's not a Delpen status tournament, and I think the rest of them weren't playing too hot either.
Yeah, I didn't see the first map of this series because we were playing our match at the same time. But I caught the end of, or like the 2 last thirds of the Tuscan game, and I saw Markelov pretty much carried Navi on T side of Tuscan. I think he ended up at like 28-4 with just an AK, just demolishing SK, and then CT side SK actually, and Navi won 14-1 as T's, by the way, on Tuscan, and then SK went up to 10-1 as terrorists, but then ended up losing. And even in that game, I remember looking at scores, and I think Delpan was sitting at like 3 frags or 2 frags, while the rest of his team was in double digits, and he looked really frustrated after missing a couple of shots in the match. I don't think SK is as significantly better as Navi as people make it out to be. Like, people make it out to be like there's a huge difference. I think Navi could easily beat them in a best of 3, but today Navi looked really sloppy. So if they show up tomorrow in the quarterfinals playing like they played today, I don't think they're gonna stand a chance. But at the same time, I do think they will step up their game for tomorrow.
Yeah, well, when I say I think SK has an advantage versus Navi, I don't mean like it's like 80-20, but you know, I do favor SK in that matchup. I feel like SK's got to feel like they have some sort of advantage, kind of like, maybe not to the same extent as Fnatic, but when they meet them, they usually beat them, it seems, besides that one like case. Even in 2009, I don't know, Fnatic, though, like forcing Get Right, did beat them a bunch of times, even if they went out in tourneys.
Well, they didn't beat them as many times as they lost, though.
That's true.
SK on the other
I think
hand,
they did beat them more than anyone else, though. I think
that's possible. If SK somehow ended up second in this group, which would mean losing this match and going in a 3-way tie basically, and ending second due to the round difference, in that case, they would play Fnatic, and that would be just the worst news Karn has heard in a long time. Because that matchup has now been pretty for Fnatic. Now, they have improved, but I think the psychological edge that SK has over Fnatic is just too much. And if those two do meet in the playoffs at some point, I don't think Fnatic will even be close to SK.
I think another thing is, like, Forrest has played with Karn for, like, his whole life, basically, at top level CS, besides his short stint on B-Grip. And it's got to be pretty easy for Forrest to tell Robin, like, what he's gonna do, you know, like how he likes to call, what they like Karn's not a person that can just change the way that he calls just because Forrest left his team, you know, like that's gotta help.
Plus, Fnatic has always played the same way. They walk
Yeah.
places. They do simple stuff, you know. They're not like